Should we do the flag salute and everything? We do that all in one meeting? I would assume we
Yes,
should.
we do that, and you should
All right,
ask
cool.
for comment, public comment, and then we go ahead.
All right. Councilmember Deutsch, or Vice Mayor Deutsch, will you do this for a flag salute? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse you, we don't need public comment because it's just a special meeting.
Okay. Then let's proceed. We don't need, well, let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Arth?
Here.
Councilmember Deutsch?
Here.
Councilmember Keisler?
Here.
Councilmember Lucchese?
Here.
Mayor Bryan?
Present. All right, let's move into our item on the agenda, a discussion and possible action on employment agreement of a public works director.
Yes, this is my item, and that's why I here went.
Thank you, Tim.
So, this is a follow-up or a finishing up from Todd's work. He had brought to the city council a proposal to hire the public works director, which the city council went along with. He worked on a draft contract, worked the terms, but didn't get it finished. I prepared a contract which you have in front of me, which has been approved by Mr. Fastro, and it's up to the city council to make any changes they may want. I told Mr. Fastro, you know, it was going to the city council, they still could have comments on it. And Blake had brought to my attention one thing, there's an issue that we need to clarify with respect to the appropriate city contribution to retirement plan. So we have a number in the contract, but if you approve the contract, it should be subject to the interim city manager making the appropriate adjustment to ensure that it reflects what should be in there.
Yes, that's not the standard for.
Yeah. Well, what had happened is that Mr. Fastro there was an issue with respect to his retirement. He had a PERS retirement. He rescinded his, and the PERS retirement has a limitation of number of hours you can work. He rescinded his PERS retirement so he can be a full-time employee, but we need to make sure that the contribution rate is appropriate in consideration of whatever retirement program we presently have. So the percentages might change. They won't go up. They might go down.
Okay. As long as it won't go up, I think then that's excellent. Thank you, Blake, for bringing that to our attention. Yes.
John, in terms of the relationship between the public works director we're hiring and the union, is there any kind of a problem there?
No.
I heard that there was. Why would I have heard that, and what clarifies that then?
The contract provides that he's an at-will response. He reports to the city manager. So while you're approving the contract, you're basically authorizing the city manager to execute the contract. The city manager is doing the hiring.
Okay, thanks.
I had the same question asked a different way, which is we have a very small staff, but there is a distinct public works staff. So will the director of public works have a role? He manages according to the contract, but will he evaluate public works employees? Will be involved in hiring public works employees?
Yes.
How does he interrelate with the city manager?
Well, he reports to the city manager.
Right.
So, and the city manager evaluates his performance.
But my instinct says that if Mr. Fastro takes this job, he would be classified as management rather than a representative employee.
He's an exempt employee, he's at management.
Yeah, and as far as Dunsmere works, if I understand it, it's a police chief, finance director, city manager, and now public works director that would be exempt for our polls.
Will this, or
Fire chief, I meant.
could we adjust this to recognize that there is a public works division and give a particular title to the person in charge of that division?
We already did when we created the position. Well, it already existed. It was filled well. the public works supervisor.
No, okay, good.
That goes into the,
I have a question.
look at duties, paragraph 3. It makes it pretty clear.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilman?
Okay. Let's just be clear. So we have a guy that's been doing the job, Brian Wilson. The question is this guy going to come along and be Brian Wilson's boss? Or is Brian Wilson still in charge doing what he's been doing? Because I sure would hate to lose Brian Wilson.
Councilman Keisler, I think I can answer that. The way it's written, at least the way I read it, he would be all water, sewer, public works, and we don't have any direct trash employees, but he would oversee all the enterprises. So he would be the boss of both Brian Wilson, Dennis, Ron, all of them.
So again, it's a public works director, so it was a new position that we created. It's not the public works supervisor. That is a separate union-based position that still exists.
And that's where I think we're imagining this person would end up, as the supervisor there in recognition of this. So I think we want to, make sure that person understands that this is not going to be somebody coming in and taking over. It's a change in the structure, but he'll still be the supervisor.
It
Yeah.
creates a management position.
Well, the supervisor is a separate role. We don't have an update for that on the agenda or anything like that, but it's a separate role that remains vacant currently. So it's not really being addressed here. This was I think John Kenny pointed it out. This was all started by this candidate approaching the city about the possibility of being able to do this sort of work here. So I'm just very grateful he's willing to do the full-time work. That was the only negative I'd heard prior to this point. But that was
I thought that we were getting it because of his certificates for the wastewater. That was the main thing. But Brian's been running the show, and I think he's might be due a couple more dollars for the work that he's done.
So again, that's not the item that's on the agenda, though. We're just going the
Nor
public
is that
works.
item.
I was
as
just
pointed out,
trying to bring
council's
something to
prerogative.
council's,
At that point, it's a
Trying
union
to bring-
position, but
just trying to bring something to your guys' attention that might bite us in the ass later, that's all.
do you have any questions about this contract before us, Councilman Keisler?
I was reading somewhere in this contract that it also included pay raise for the 4 city employees.
No, that's
No.
a separate item.
Where is that gonna be talked about?
That's going to be talked about on the item it went with on the
Interim
regular
city
agenda
manager,
for interim city manager, acting city manager.
interim, acting,
Yes.
temporary.
So that'll be in
Alright.
the regular meeting session.
All right,
Dave, I just would recommend that we look at it this way, for everyone, we look at it this way. Right now, this is on the agenda, this particular position, a management position, which gives us the ability to not only cover our wastewater problem for certification, but it also gives us somebody that has the ability to get grants, to move in new money. That's what this position's about. As far as the supervisor position and what goes with that could be coming up at the next agenda, but it's not tonight. So I'm just trying to say that
All right.
things will work their way out, okay?
all right.
Can we move
All right.
into public comment, please?
Yeah, is there any further questions? I see none. I'd like to move into public comment for this item. Discussion of possible action on employment agreement of a public works director. Who would like to come make a public comment, please come to the podium. Or if you're on Zoom, go to the reactions button and hit the raise your hand button. You'll be allowed 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Don't see any hands on Zoom.
All right, seeing none, I will close public comment on this item.
I'm willing to make a motion if everybody's okay, moving forward with the contract with the recommended amendments to the retirement contributions.
As far as filling in the 2 blanks, do we adopt this with blanks or do we have? start dates?
You authorize the city manager to sign this contract. We'll have final contract approved. We'll have one done, subject to confirmation of the retirement contribution.
So I'll move to approve the attached contract with the amendments to correct the retirement contributions to the appropriate amount and authorize the city manager to sign on the city's behalf.
Second,
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, move into a roll call vote.
Councilmember Arth,
Aye.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Aye.
Councilmember Keisler,
Aye.
Councilmember Lucchese,
Aye.
Mayor Bryan.
Also an aye. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kenny.
Thank
for being
you.
here tonight.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Kenny.
it.
Thanks, John.
Good
Thanks,
seeing you.
John.
Happy New Year, safe
John.
drive.
I'll move to adjourn the special meeting of the City Council of the City of Dunsmere.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, yeah.
Special meeting adjourned. I will now call to order. Everyone's okay with it? The meeting, the regular session of the Dunsmere City Council for January 6, 2022 at 6:04 p.m. Councilman Arndt, would you like to lead us in the flag salute, or do we need to salute already?
We did a flag salute with
It's the agenda.
Mr.
Okay.
Deutsch.
So, roll call.
We've done
We're
that.
all here present.
Just noting that everybody that I originally called is still here.
That's perfect. All right. So with special presentations and announcements, item A, we're looking forward to that. I just want to say that item B, that was a misunderstanding on my part back before I knew when they'd like to get on the agenda. But the theater presentation will be taking place at the next regular city council.
20th.
Thank you.
It'll be right here under special presentation, but we can discuss it further. Thank you. So let's move into general public comment, or no, sorry. Thank you so much, Sheriff LaRue. Sergeant Ortiz.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hard to imagine, right?
Yeah.
Well, good evening, Mayor Bryan and members of council. Thank you for having me here. I'm here to introduce somebody, but you already did, but I'll do a little bit more of an introduction. You probably recognize this gentleman here, Rich Ortiz. Recently, the sheriff's office did a pretty extensive recruitment and testing for a supervisor position. And this guy behind me came out number one. A little bit about him, he's a familiar face. He's from Mount Shasta, California, and he has many ties to our local community. He actually began his law enforcement career in Alturas Police Department, 2011, and came to us in 2014. And just briefly, Sergeant Ortiz has had numerous leadership positions within our department. I know he's very capable of handling his newest assignment, and I look forward to seeing his growth and his mentorship to our deputies, but also his involvement in the community. Sergeant Ortiz has been Deputy of the Year for us at the Sheriff's Office. He is also a field training officer. He's a member of our special response team, which is basically our SWAT team. He has been a detective, and most recently where he came from, he was a special agent with our North State Major Investigation Team, where he is responsible for working numerous complex investigations, which have led to many high-profile arrests, not only in Siskiyou County, but in neighboring counties. So I'm very proud of him, and I'll give him an opportunity to say a few words, but I look forward to seeing his accomplishments. And Sergeant Ortiz.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is a dream I've had for quite some time. I've filled in at some of these meetings as a trusted deputy, and finally I get to be the one that comes every time. I recognize a number of you. I worked down here several years as a patrol deputy. It was a proactive crew back then. It's my understanding it still is. I hope to bring kind of a higher level investigation, and it's easy as a patrol officer to get stuck in a call rut without peeling the onion and digging deeper and doing more further investigation. I think my drug and search warrant and complex investigation background is going to help. And I'm not making any promises here, but the deeper you dig and the more rocks you flip, the more you find. So I look forward to improving the city in that fashion.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
you.
Welcome to
Thank you.
the position. All right, I'll now move into a general public comment for this evening. Thank you, gentlemen. We need to move along. We appreciate you guys here. So for general public comment, please feel free to come and comment on any item not on the agenda. So any general item not on the agenda or on the consent agenda, which is check register for the last 2 weeks, and assessment districts, Dunsmere, South Dunsmere sewer, and fire equipment analysis. As before, come to the podium or raise your hand.
My name is Alex. I live on Eleanor. I'm a 6-month-long citizen in Dunsmere. And I'd like to say that I think, although that Dave brought up a relevant point about Brian Wilson. When I first arrived in town, there was a bus stuck in the middle of the road, and I was trying to get to work at about 5 a.m. And Brian was there on the scene taking care of things. Ever since then, I've seen him driving the street sweeper. I've seen him plowing the snow. And he's always been helpful. He said a couple of times, he said to me, if you need help with anything, let me know. So I heard it when Dave said earlier that we'd sure hate to lose him because he's a real asset to this community. And I'd like to know really why he hasn't been promoted to the supervisor position already. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. All right, is there any additional public comment this evening? Anyone, if you'd like to come to the podium or raise your hand. Okay, there'll be additional options to comment on items on the agenda. So seeing none, I'll close the public comment for this evening and proceed into council and staff comments. Would you like to lead us off, Vice Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have no comments tonight.
Councilman
Two, one of them animated by the letter I assume we all received from the CETF, that's the California Emerging Technology Fund. It is one of the ancillary efforts at the state level to make sure we have ubiquitous broadband in rural areas, especially Siskiyou County. And we know that Ed Valenzuela now leads the Rural Caucus in Sacramento. So I think it actually offers us a survey as government leaders as to how many of the best practices the city of Dunsmere engages in. And it's very sobering, of course, because we are in an underserved area for broadband. And my hope, Mr. Mayor, is that perhaps you and I've worked with Ed Valenzuela on this issue since I moved up here. We know there's federal money available. We know there's state money available. And the California Emerging Technology Fund is supposed to be the change agent to make this happen. So I'm volunteering to set up a meeting with you and Ed when we get a chance, with the notion from solid waste, we get informed regional solutions are one option, local solutions, especially those on the railroad track, are a different option. But I really hope we will prioritize in 2022 moving forward on broadband in our community and our region. The other is I'm not on social media. Maybe all of you are, but I'm not. But I've had several friends come up and say that not having a bank in Dunsmere is a big problem. Whether you're a senior or whether you're a merchant, not having a bank is a big problem. And I'm hoping if it's in the province of the Economic Development Committee or somewhere else, that we actually make a renewed effort to see what the options are from simply a versateller, a smart versateller, or something similar to that. I think it's a high priority matter for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lucchese.
Thank you. I'll be quick. So today I went to the Joint Powers Authority meeting on solid waste, which is hosted by the county. We will have a agenda item at our next meeting to adopt a opt-in ordinance, which we are mandated to adopt per the Senate Bill 1383. The county has prepared that for us, so we'll be bringing that at our next meeting. The other benefit to that is part of the SB 1383 is there are grant funds available to help with the rollout. And we are getting more information from Jason and Cal Recycle today on what needs to go into that. We do have a solid waste meeting on Monday, December 10th. So this is next Monday coming up at 5 p.m. If anyone would like to join us. One of the agenda items I put on there really quick is to discuss those grant dollars and the programs that we could apply for. It's important that we get on this because the grant application was announced pretty much yesterday and is due February 1st. So yeah, that's not a lot of time. So we'll talk about that in terms of the SB 1383 is called the composting law for California. So as of January 1 of this year, major cities need to institute a curbside collection of green waste and composting. There is a rural exemption, which we adopted today and signed off on. That gives us an exemption until 2026. 26.
Jan 1.
Yep. So that gives us more time, but the Solid Waste Committee has been discussing other ways to meet that mandate earlier, just based off of the interest from our residents so far. The only other thing is I am working with the Trails Association and End Plan on the Moss Brae Trail CEQA compliance. Met with the Siskiyou County planning, the new planning director, to discuss assistance on that, and that's moving forward. So that might be an option for us to expedite the project's environmental review. So that's kind of clipping along at a good pace.
Thank you.
Thank you for covering. I was in the dentist chair.
It's okay. It was only like 25 minutes.
Councilman Keisler.
Yeah. But first of all, I'd like to welcome Ortiz. I know this guy, he's fair, and he's going to be an asset to our town, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to working with him. Welcome to the party. I want to give a shout out to our own Blake and Wendy. They've been doing a great job in the office, and kudos, guys. Keep it up. You held it together, and you're doing a good job. I don't know if anybody's told you that, but I am. Brian Wilson and his crew, I want to thank you for everything that you've done. You guys pretty much risked your lives late night in this cold, doing everything for us, keeping us safe. So I really do appreciate that. And I got your back on this. And I want to thank Stephen Bryant and all the people at the Resource Center over the holidays. They did a really good job helping people getting the food out there. And they deserve a big kudos too. And then last, I'll be taking the Christmas ornaments down Saturday at 9 o'clock. If anybody wants to come out and give us a hand, it'd be appreciated. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Councilman Keisler. Councilman Deutsch, you had something come up?
Yeah, I was thinking of doing this during the committee reports, but listening, I guess this comes out a little bit better this way. I attended the chamber meeting, monthly meeting last night. And the big news that they're working on right now, among other things, and they will be working with you, Blake, to work on some COVID things because the events that they weren't able to have, I think, would definitely fit within the COVID relief area. The other thing is that they're going to be having their first mixer post-pandemic or near the end of pandemic, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be Thursday, the 27th at 5 o'clock. It'll be at the Cornerstone. Ahmed Toski has volunteered that. And the good news is, and I'm working on this, and I already talked with Quinton today, is that they're going to have Quinton as a speaker. So the ability to talk to all the businesses right now that are going through all the stress, he'll be able to connect up with them. I know he's been doing that for a while, but this is an opportunity to kind of jumpstart the chamber, and so I'm looking forward to that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Question, how are you going to publicize this to the businesses in Dunsmere?
Yeah, Luann Weigel is kind of the new president right now. She and Cindy Foreman are kind of working it together. And I've passed all the information that'll be coming from Quentin on to Luann, so she'll be able to take that and get it out as soon as possible. And I asked Quentin if he could come up with a topic, what he wants to talk about and the topics and that, and then give that to Luann so she can say in her promotion, these are all the things that you'll get if you come. So that's kind of where we're at with it right now.
But it will go out to both members and non-members.
Yeah, they've got the big database. I'm sure they'll go out to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to wish everyone a really good new year and thank the valiant efforts of our plowmen on the streets, but also I remind everyone that we live in such a beautiful community. Continuously, you see neighbors helping neighbors shovel snow, and we have had a lot of it this Christmas break. So that's all for this evening. Let's move forward to committee reports.
I don't have any, but I'm just going to reiterate that we do have a solid waste committee meeting on Monday, December 10th at 5 p.m., which is open to the public, and we'll have the agenda posted. And then also the finance committee will start meeting again, January 10th. What am I doing? Sorry. I've got the right year, but the wrong month. I was like looking at that. I was like, that doesn't look right. Monday, January 10th at 5 p.m. is solid waste, and Monday, January 17th at 5 p.m. is the finance committee meeting, and that is also a public meeting that people may attend if they so choose.
Thank you. All right, then,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I see you have the same document with the same red sticky. Would this be a good time I have a few questions, having reviewed Wendy's excellent effort to capture what we did around committees the last meeting.
If there's a mistake in there, maybe we could do it during the approval of the minutes, since it's reflected in the minutes. No?
Wherever, makes no difference.
All right, well, if you have corrections, I think we're going to approval of the minutes next. So, are there any further committee reports? All right, let's move into approval of the minutes. Councilman Arth?
I move the approval of the minutes.
Oh, did you want to correct?
Oh!
Yeah.
I'm not too quick here tonight. So, on page 2, Solid Waste Committee. I think the purpose of the Solid Waste Committee, subject to the chair's concurrence, ought to extend beyond contract details with Clemens Waste Hauler to the implementation of SB 1383, et cetera. We changed this from an ad hoc to a solid waste committee because we know we have at least 3 years of work ahead of us.
Correct. And actually, I'll just, Wendy, I'll go look at my computer when I get home, and I'll just send you the purpose from the resolution when we approve the committee.
I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Does that work? Because that has all that in it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
The second is, I don't understand, we have an airport advisory ad hoc committee with 2 council members on it. And then on the next page, we have an airport land use committee with council member Lucchese.
This is I asked this one last time because I thought it was a committee issue. No, the county is supposed to have a airport land use committee for the county to review all of the land use compliance around all airports in the county, and they have not been doing it, and they realize they haven't, and so now they're bringing it back. So we
But are you a delegate, or are we
Yes.
having our own committee?
No, so I would be the delegate to the county.
Thank you.
The one question I have hanging around here is about the finance committee. Right now, who's going to be on the finance committee?
Yeah, I think we did some research on it, but it's not on the agenda for now.
Well, I mean,
So
there's
as
a
it
committee
stands,
meeting
it's-
coming up.
Yeah, so I didn't want to violate Brown Act, so I just sent the resolution, which Blake sent me, to the mayor and explained that the appointments for all committee members are 2 years. So that would include the city council members. So Councilmember Keisler and myself have 1 more year of service.
Good,
And
thank
so
you.
it kind of resolved itself.
Good, thank you.
Although the original intention behind it was alternate years, so maybe we can.
We could maybe adjust
we
the
can adjust
resolution.
that, yeah, so that you never have gone through it.
Good, thank you.
And my last comment is sort of a dynamic one. If we are successful in retaining a public works director, based on my experience, that position would be the most appropriate representative on the integrated regional water management group.
Yeah, I think
We could-
we discussed that at the last meeting.
We can bring that back as an action item,
Yes.
just to clarify.
Yep,
Okay.
that's it. Thank
All
you.
right, so a motion to approve the minutes, was there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, against? Motion carries unanimously. Let's move into the consent agenda for this evening. We've got item A, check register for November 13th through December 31st.
I move we adopt the consent agenda.
Oh, sorry, and assessment districts, South Dunsmere sewer and fire equipment analysis.
I still move to adopt the consent.
A second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. All right, we have no public hearing this evening. And we have no old business, so it brings us to the main item of tonight's meeting. New business, item A, personnel changes, acting city manager. So at the prior meeting, or 2 meetings ago, I was instructed to meet with Finance Director Michelson and investigate whether he'd be willing to take on acting city manager role and how that would work with current city hall staff and what the capacity would be for having them keep the city running in-house, until we went. So he thought about it. We talked about how it would work, what he would need relative to it, and this is the report that came back. Clarifying questions?
Well, do we have an acceptance?
Yes.
And if
We
it
gotta
makes,
open up for public comment.
and if it makes you feel better, we have at least 2 people who say they're gonna put proposals in for the executive search committee, so we'll find a replacement quickly.
Excellent. That sounds great. No, perfect.
Of course, we should consider the fact that him accepting this does kind of cloud his judgment as far as we're concerned, right, as Bill?
Intelligence, not just.
Yeah,
I'll just reiterate all the kudos that have been spread to all staff.
yes.
Yep.
All right, so those who don't have the report, the recommendation would be to have Finance Director Michelson take on acting city manager until we find a new city manager, and have all authority as city manager in those duties. He also requested that 4 city hall staff salaries be increased by 50%, he's requesting, for additional duties, and he lays them out here. That's kind of an expansion of what staff had talked about, but it's part of what Finance Director Michelson had asked for. If there's any questions about that and what he thinks about that, we can certainly address them now. I just want to say, when we get to the resolution, because of my relation with one of the staffers there, I don't want to be part of that decision on that, but it's Blake, you want to just take over that part? Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm assuming, and this would be natural, that these raises would come back once we get a regular city manager. Is that our intention?
Yeah, I believe that's definitely how I understand it, but it's looked like nothing.
Definitely true. Yes. Everything would go back to, as of today, once a new city manager is hired.
I may amend the resolution to read that, just for posterity's sake.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried that we didn't have a trigger in there and cause concern down the line.
Definitely, no, that's a good concern. No, the intention is just, as Blake explained it, for him to take on city manager, even just to keep things afloat, he's going to need city hall staff to either help with city manager duties, who need to be spread out with that extra person, but also his finance director duties are going to be stretched very, very thin. So I think that's where 2 of the employees are more on the city manager side, 2 are the finance side. When he explained that, it didn't seem to make sense. So And then, it was a little higher. We negotiated the 4,200 biweekly, the same as the prior interim city manager. It's higher than council had originally thrown out with Mr. Kenny. But it does seem fair to me, especially as the result ends up in an overall decrease in our expenditure.
I've got some comments, but I guess we should wait till after public unless there are other questions.
Questions, Councilman Ott?
Comments as well, but no questions.
Questions, Councilman Keisler?
I'll wait till after public comment.
Okay, all right. Now open this up to public comment. If anyone would like to make a comment, please come to the podium for 3 minutes. Raise your hand, state your name and address for the record.
Well, I just want to have a quick question because my understanding, this is going to be temporarily when the new city manager is hired. But what if he's very successful?
Who is this?
Time. Oh, sorry. This is Ahmed Tassi, 4019 Forest Lane.
Continue.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Like, what if he's successful with the job that he's taken over?
Thank you. All right, is there any additional public comment? Anyone on Zoom? All right, seeing none, I will now close this item to public comment. I'll have a quick response to that. At this point in time, Finance Director Michelson is not interested in filling out the full-time one. He's stated his lack of interest to apply for the full-time. He's focused on getting his finances in order and keeping the city going where it needs to go. Yes?
I just want to be clear for everybody out there that is wondering what's going on. We have an extremely small staff compared to other cities. And so losing the top person right now is going to be placing an incredible stress on a team that has gotten us through this. And the one concern I have is that I hope we can monitor this and make sure that as we go along, however long this might be, maybe it'll be short, maybe it'll be longer, but we make sure that we don't end up over stressing any of the team. So I do want to let the world know that I think we have one of the best staffs around the planet and people who care about this. And so putting this into the hands of Blake and also into the hands of our city clerk and admin assistant, Wendy Perkins, who's an essential part of that team, I think is something that I can live with, and I think they definitely deserve to be supported with extra pay. So
I think just for doing the amendment, just to clarify, so I'm going to make a motion to amend the resolution to add the phrase after by 15% in the now therefore be it resolved. I've written this down, Wendy, so I can give it to you too. So the added phrase would be, so it would basically, it would read, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Dunsmere hereby appoints Blake Michelson as acting city manager and includes all authority as city manager, increase payroll for Mr. Michelson to $4,200 biweekly, and increase payroll for administrative secretary, community service liaison, finance technician, and utility billing clerk by 15%, and here's the new phrase, until a permanent city manager contract is approved by the city council, period. The temporary raise will cease at the end of the next feasible fiscal pay period. And I have that written out and I will type it for you, Wendy. So.
I move to approve. Oh, you got the motion already, is that right? I'll
just to do the amendment to clarify that.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Well, I just have one point of order. Can we make it 2 motions?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I'm gonna do the motion to make the amendment, and then we'll go to.
No, make it a motion for acting interim city manager.
Because he doesn't want to get caught up with his.
I have to.
This is just a change.
From,
This is just to amend.
no, I'm asking overall, can we separate it for City Hall employees for one motion?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
Just take out that paragraph dealing with the support staff, and then
Yeah,
use that
and
for
we'll,
the second
and
motion.
you guys can do that as you will.
Well, technically, we would cease his increase as well after the period.
Both should be amended then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so then we would be doing that right now.
Does the whereas this resolution will terminate the day prior to the effective start date of the city manager? So I had a whereas just above my statement, but
Yeah, I guess that kind of works. I don't know.
I'm all for your amendment.
I like to be very clear, if that's
So,
okay.
but at this point, I think we have to be clear on this point, and that is that in order to keep him safe with regard to recusal,
Yeah.
that we should have one motion that does not mention anybody except for the city manager, the acting
Okay.
city manager, and then a second motion which talks about the staff. That way he can recuse himself for that,
For the second, this is
Yeah.
appropriate.
for the second one.
Okay, so,
Just take that paragraph out where you talk
Oh,
about the
okay.
staff.
so I will amend my motion to only add the phrase, which I stated before, which I'll give to Wendy, which is it'll cease upon an approved contract for the increased payroll for administrative secretary, community service liaison, finance technician, and utility billing clerk by 15%. Does that help you? Okay, so this would just address those.
Motion
Wait,
to
I'm
amend.
still confused. Is anybody else?
Yeah, I think, so I'm gonna go back to my original motion, and you would just recuse yourself
For
from
the whole
this,
thing.
from the
Whole
whole
thing, that
thing.
makes sense.
Yeah,
So you want to leave right now, I guess, then before she makes her motion.
Well, that's where it doesn't make sense, because.
Can I try it?
go ahead.
And I don't have all the words, but let me just say, we resolved that we're going to hire the acting city manager at the particular rate, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to close it with the idea that this ends, as you said it, but we take out the whole part about the support staff. That goes out, and we don't talk about that.
So you wanna remove that?
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at.
So are you removing that last part of the paragraph from the
No, all we're
resolution?
removing from what you said was to talk about the staff.
Okay,
Right. The staff would be a whole second one.
And that way we have a second motion where it's about the staff, and then he can walk out for that.
but he wouldn't be able to, if the staff is mentioned in the resolution, you wouldn't be able to vote on the resolution itself, because the resolution would be approving the whole thing.
No, that's what we're
That's
saying.
the whole point, we're asking to
Oh,
separate.
you
it
wanna
out.
just.
Two
so you-
resolutions,
Two resolutions.
So you basically want to make a motion to remove the and increase for
No,
those
no.
positions from the
No.
resolution and do that as a separate motion?
There you
Yes.
go. There you go.
Okay, I'm just trying to word this correctly
Yeah,
so
I
that
understand.
we're kosher.
And you have the words, I just have the concept that we have to take the two apart. So if we're there, are we there?
Well, and I'd be fine recusing for the entire amount, but I would like the joy of voting for
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Michelson.
Yeah, I understand.
So you want 2022-01 to be just
For
myself.
you.
Yeah,
2022-02 will be just support
Staff.
staff.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, interim city manager. We haven't voted on it yet, so acting.
all right, but I believe we have additional comments. Councilman Ar?
Obviously, I'm grateful to our small staff for stepping up as a team. I think in the absence of a highly paid city manager, it's absolutely appropriate to increase their compensation for the period where we have no city manager. And my only hope, it says in the background discussion of the staff report, weekly communication between council and acting manager will keep city projects progressing forward. And that's a beautiful sentence. But what I'm aware of, just sitting here listening to the last two city managers, is we have our budget, our 2-year budget with pages of priorities. We have the views of former city manager Juhas. These are the things I was going to be emphasizing in 2022. Apparently, we have the views of Jefferson Spencer. These are the most important things the city needs to do. So under the protocols, we have agenda review meetings, but I'm hoping the mayor and the vice mayor will have a much more robust communication link. And between the two of you, and this feeds right into the recruitment of a new city manager. If I take this job, what's on my plate? Does the city know what they want me to do? What are our priorities? And I think we've been missing that ever since the revolving door started turning again. So I would like to see an update to the budget document as to what the current city leadership sees from Mossbury Trail to funding, to rebuilding the economy, you name it. I don't think it's fair to you to just have these lists and these individual priorities. I would like us to be well organized in recognition. You're all going to be working harder and getting paid more to do something.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Arth. Councilman Keisler, you had some comments.
No, I'm all right now.
Okay. All right. There's no more discussion.
So just to clarify, the motion on the table at hand is a motion to remove the last statement concerning support staff at the and increase point to into a separate 2022-02 resolution and amend that to include the language that I had put forward earlier to have that 15% discontinue at the next available fiscal period when a city manager contract is approved by council. That is the one on the table right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's
I second that
2021,
motion.
2022-1 with that change.
So, yes,
So we're going to be voting on that. We don't talk about the other one right now because he's here.
and we're not
This is just an
approving either
amendment.
resolution
So
yet.
everybody in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Again? Motion carries.
Okay.
Amendment's adopted.
So now we just need two other motions, which is a motion to approve the 2022-01 resolution.
Right.
Which I will so move.
I second.
All right. Any discussion?
I hope not.
Let's move to a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Which motion are we doing a roll call vote for?
2022-1.
Oh, one, okay.
Approve the resolution.
Councilmember Arth
Aye.
and Councilmember Deutsch.
Aye.
Councilmember Lucchese,
Aye.
Councilmember Keisler,
Aye.
and Mayor Brian.
Aye. All right, and then I will recuse myself.
Do you want to hand the gavel to Bruce since he's going to take over?
Thank you, sir. Take this on.
Okay.
So
Wait.
do I hear a motion on the second?
So just to clarify,
She's in charge.
sorry, I'm taking notes so we do this
Well, yeah.
in a well-documented way. So resolution 2022-02 basically just approves an increase of 15% for, let me just clarify. All right, so resolution number 2022-02 will be a resolution of the City Council of the City of Dunsmere making personnel changes, temporary increase in payroll. So now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Dunsmere hereby increases payroll for the Administrative Secretary, Community Services Liaison, Finance Technician, and Utility Billing Clerk by 15% until a permanent city manager contract is approved by the City Council. The temporary raise will cease at the end of the next possible fiscal pay period.
And you think we don't have that resolution in draft before?
If you want to bring it back at the next meeting, but that's why I read it.
That's
in
my
the-
question. I don't care.
I don't care either. I'd rather do it now and let them know we care.
Yeah, and well, and just I read, that's why I read it in its
Yeah.
entirety as opposed to a title only, so.
I second.
So,
Well, are you comfortable with this, Blake?
Yes.
Okay.
so Dave, there wasn't a motion on the table, but if you want to, or did I, what did I?
I think
That was your
Okay,
motion.
I did form that emotion. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Councilmember Keisler
Okay,
seconded.
thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Arth,
Aye.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Aye.
Councilmember Keisler,
Aye.
Councilmember Lucchese,
Aye.
and Mayor Brian abstains.
Very good.
I'm very
Handle us.
Power move. Come on in there. Arrest him. Get him in here.
But I
Right.
hope the resolution as adopted shows up in the minutes for our next
Yeah.
meeting.
I will type that all out. I have very messy notes, so I will not do that to you. I've got to get on the computer later anyway.
Welcome back. As you can imagine, we passed it.
Thank you, Blake and staff, for taking on the extra duties. And we'll do our best to
pleasure.
not overload you with new items that we aspire at.
The understanding, Mr. Mayor, is there is no resolution before us. So it's sort of been dictated. It's in the meetings. We voted on it. The resolution itself will show up in the minutes for our next meeting.
Okay. Imagine you doc is identical to in here other than, okay. Thank you. Let's move into item B, syringe disposal kiosks.
And Jessica.
Okay, thank you guys. Yeah, so Jessica is on the call here. She's waving. Hello.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay, okay. Hi, I'm Jessica Skillen. I'm a health educator at Siskiyou County Public Health. Thank you so much, Mayor Brian and council members for having me. I did a PowerPoint. I don't know if it's on or, hey.
It is on.
I see it. Can we go to the beginning maybe, or how do we? This is the last page. There we go.
Right.
Okay, so thank you again. So I am the health educator that runs the Healthy Siskiyou mobile unit. I don't know if you've seen it around town, but we are in Dunsmere every first and third Wednesday of the month. We were there yesterday. We park in front of the resource center, and this is what it looks like. We've been there. We started our program at January of 2019. So we've been doing this for a few years. If you want to go to the next page, these are the services that we offer. We kind of are a resource center with a health twist. We have, we can do any kind of referrals for like a behavioral health situation. If anybody needs help to find like a rehab facility and stuff, we can actually give them all the information to navigate through our county, which can be kind of hard at times. I mean, instead of giving them a phone number to call, we actually know the people directly and we can make phone calls for them. And our newest thing is COVID-19 info, where to get vaccines, testing, stuff like that. So we have that kind of information. If you can go to the next screen, we also do harm reduction services. So we do HIV testing, hepatitis C testing. I give out Narcan if anybody needs that. I'm not sure if everybody knows what that is, but it's if somebody's having an opioid overdose, it reverses it. So we have those on board. So if anybody ever needs that, they're free. I just hand them out. I also run the Syringe service program in Siskiyou County. So that only operates out of Wairika once a week. And we, current users will bring in their old syringes and I will give them new ones. And the purpose of that is, you know, to be on the ground with them, talk to them about services and make sure that we stop the spread of hepatitis and HIV. I mean, if an HIV person for a lifetime of treatment is about $800,000. So if usually people are like Medi-Cal and stuff. So, I mean, if we can lower the cost of all that, then I mean, a needle costs about 2 cents to distribute. So we try to get those. We actually are up for the year. We just finished out our year. We've exchanged kind of like a little bit about that. That's it's kind of unique to us because we are the only exchange program in the county. But we gave out about 130,000 last year and we took in about 132,000. So we were up 2,000. So people can buy them in Oregon and get them from Shasta County and stuff too, but we are in the positive, so that's good. So if we go to the next page. So there have been concerns about syringes being found around the county. So we actually got a grant to purchase syringe disposal kiosks. So for example, Shasta County has 13 places where a person can go and turn in something at like a kiosk like this, and Siskiyou County has 1. So we wanted to increase that. And it just so happened that I think a year and a half ago, when City Manager Todd was still in there, he kind of contacted me and said, hey, we've been finding them in the parks, we've been finding them around. Do we have sharps containers that we can have? And of course, I gave those to Brian Wilson, and he took them, and I guess he put them in the trucks and stuff. But I felt like it wasn't enough, that I want a safe place for people to be able to go and just dump them off themselves. So it's not just for people that inject, it's for lancets and stuff, for people that are diabetic. So I found that pharmacies will give diabetics the needles and the sharps containers, but don't accept them back. So a lot of people drive here to Eureka to come and turn them in, but I want to put these in different places of the county. The goal is to have 5, so people can just drop them in, kind of like the disposals for the unused drugs that the sheriff's office does, those green ones or whatever that they have that they pick up. So because nobody wants to find a needle anywhere, but it does happen. So we want to make sure that there is a location. This is actually what they're going to look like. So I was talking to Brian, and he said that recently you guys installed kind of like bear resistant trash cans, and they're kind of like that, where they're very, very sturdy, and they're going to be screwed in, with concrete bolts and stuff. But this is what they're going to look like. We actually got them wrapped, and they have stickers, they have information on the side. And they're really nice. If you want to go next page, these are the 2 locations. So when I was talking to Todd and Brian, we kind of looked at the 5915 Dunsmir Avenue. So that's right next door to the city hall. So I didn't take a picture of it, so I had to go on Google Earth. And as you can see behind all those cars, it's the recycle area, and there was like a little pad there. There you go. There's, like a little pad there that we can install it. So when I kind of finally got my MOU through our county council and everything, and Todd was no longer there, so now it was Jefferson, he suggested possibly this other location, which is, I think it's the 4,000 something, the Dunsmir Avenue. So it's
by the ball field
Gardens.
Yeah, he ain't here no more.
Okay, so I went there, I took a picture. My only concern is that it is next to, I think it's like a baseball field. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't care at either location. It's concrete there, so we can install it at any one of those 2 places. I don't know where it would be utilized more. Your city a little bit more, but these were the 2 proposed locations. Since we go over there twice a month, public health is responsible for it 100%. We're going to empty it out, just check it out, make sure it's not damaged. Since it's going to be screwed down, I hope it won't get stolen, but if anything happens, you guys can call me. It's all in the MOU that we will eventually send over to you once we have a location and once it's approved. We will leave you a pair of keys for it. So if it's ever overflowing or anything happens, you can always lock it up, put a sign says, don't put any more in or whatever until we can get out there. You're my pilot city, and I'm super excited because Dunsmere does so much for their community. And I was, kind of excited to start there. And so, like I said, I have 5 of them. So hopefully we'll see them all over the county. So just wanted to present it. And if anybody had any questions, if any of these locations don't seem right, we can start another one. Todd did mention possibly the Amtrak station, but the problem with that, it is privately owned, and I would have to have a contract with them instead of the city. And this was kind of an easier way. And plus, next to a recycle thing, it was a recycle area was kind of a best bet. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Yeah, I think we do have some questions. Thank you so much for presenting tonight, Jessica. I think Councilman Deutsch had one.
Thank you. 2 questions. First of all, I'm just kind of curious in a general sense, with your mobile unit, what kind of traffic do you see? I mean, do you sit around there for a long time not getting anybody? Is it always busy up and down? How would you characterize?
Yeah, so Dunsmere during the summer is one of our busier places. I think Dunsmere and Fort Jones are. So yesterday we were there and we saw 7. So there are just people walking up and down. Some people did ask about where to get the booster shots because the state was providing people that were going to Dollar General, and that now that kind of stopped. And so they were like, hey, that's where I got my second shot. Where do I get a booster? Stuff like that. We about average about 7 to 10 people a week, and it's all different questions. We've done HIV testing out there. We've given out Narcan. We've just had people that just came and talk and says, I'm having a hard time. What kind of services are out here? And I know one of our my counterpart, I didn't go this week. It was like last month. I guess one gentleman, he didn't speak English. He seemed, I think he described him as like an Arab language. Well, I guess he got dropped off there and given, I think he got out of jail, got dropped off there and was given like a train number. Well, he just kind of was wandering the streets waiting for the train to come. And he just came up to the van and started talking or trying to talk. And he says, I need for train. And my counterpart's like, I don't know what you need. And so they both walked into the resource center. Well, we figured out that number on that piece of paper was his train ticket. So they went on Amtrak and actually printed him out a ticket. The resource center gave him some food. And I think they gave him a jacket because he didn't have a jacket. And he just said, oh, thank you, and he waited around for the train to come. And it was just, we're at the right place at the right time, it seems like a lot of times. But yeah, we have a lot of people. A lot of people that come to that little area with the water fountain. We've had travelers that have just jumped off the train and just kind of wandering the city and stopped to us. And we're like, hey, you can do this and you can do that. And I've met some, I don't want to say transient, but some kind of guy. He was from Canada. He came up to us and talked to us and kind of want to know about the area. And people living out of their cars kind of stop by because they go to the resource center too. But we see all kinds, and it's pretty neat. I like Dunsmere because it's a beautiful area. I mean, I take pictures of where I park sometimes. It's like, oh wow, my view is so beautiful today. But yeah, everything's good there. We came across somebody yesterday. Go ahead.
I have a second question real quick.
Sure.
Obviously, when one of these boxes goes into a location, there's going to be feedback from the people in the neighborhood. And what is your general message to people about what they can expect from this, and how do you, I think that we're going to want to have that in our back pocket when it goes in, and people are going to be saying, why are you putting it in my neighborhood? So what would your answer be to that?
Oh man, well, we don't have many places to dispose of any kind of syringe. Like I said, it's not only just for drug using, it's for any kind of diabetic needle. So it's just another level of recycling and putting somewhere safe that needs to go instead of being on the street side or throwing them away. I know this is going to be new. It's not advertised so much as, I'm not bringing in like a syringe exchange program in the area. It's just a way to collect any that are in the area. I know that's kind of a hard question. Like, I don't want this here, but it's cleaning up the streets and it is needed. I mean, the Public Works Department have found some, and it's better to have a place for people to go and drop off themselves instead of just like the side of the road.
I think one of the slides talked about, some of the different people who can be impacted by not properly disposing of them. I think that was on your second or third slide.
Yeah, so it's on one of them. It says, county, what does it say? Like pest control workers, groundskeeper, waste management, and it's just there you go. So by having a syringe on the ground, it can't impact any of these people, even pets, and just having a safe place where people can go and dispose. And that was just my concern about the second location, about it being next to a park. even though it's by the Botanical Gardens. I was just, you know, if you guys are okay with that, because
Nope.
Jefferson said, but I mean, it was really up to you guys.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah?
If it's just a question, yeah, I think there's more questions here before a motion's made, but go for it.
Yeah, so,
I have a question.
yeah,
Miss Jessica, I want to thank you for your drive, your passion. And I've seen you guys in work, and I thank you for it. I mean, you guys are making a difference. What could be said is that it's already here in our neighborhood, and you're just trying to provide a way for helping us to keep it clean. When you mentioned the children and the pets, you got me right there. I have to agree with you. The location of the ball field is like absurd. So you got my vote on that.
okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that was my only thing. And whenever I look at like any kind of harm reduction and like our exchange program, that was always a concern. Is it by a school? Is it by a park? Is it by, you know, it's not written anywhere that it's illegal to have it there, but I just felt like it was inappropriate. And I mean, my director here agrees. And yeah, and then I mean, the sheriff knows all that stuff that goes on. I'm not saying I'm bringing a syringe exchange there. I'm just saying that it's another avenue where people can just dispose of it safely instead of the public
thank
works having to pick it up all the time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right, Councilman Arth, your hand raised?
Well, in the MOU, the draft MOU, it looks like we could have one location, but then I thought I heard you say maybe we could have up to 5 locations. How many locations can we have under this program?
Let's do one first in Dunsmere and see how that goes. I was thinking of putting 5 countywide. And then if they fill up faster, maybe we can go out again, because I go out there twice a month. It's like a 19-gallon. It holds like, I think actually it holds like 38 gallons. That's a lot of syringes. That's like, I would say 10,000 of them. I don't think that you'll fill that up, you know, by, but yeah, I know. But I was thinking about putting 5 countywide. And I already presented to the Board of Supervisors about 6 months ago and told them that this was my new idea and this is what we're going to do. And they were all on board.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm fine with the program, but I think the location, if we're starting with one, needs to be discussed.
I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm gonna get your contact information, talk about a couple other things.
Thanks also for being
yeah.
a part of the community care team. She's a regular supporter of Dunsmuir's community care team, so thank you.
Thank you. I just have comments.
All right,
We have to
so
move to public
I'm gonna go to
comments.
public comment real quick. We would like to make public comment on this item, please either come to the podium or go to the raise your hand button on Zoom.
And real quick, we could potentially have, it is on the agenda item if you want to make a decision tonight, but yeah.
I'm
Is there
good.
a public comment?
You go to the podium, sir.
Sorry, Mark.
I just have one question.
Say your name real quick.
Pardon me?
Name and address real quick.
Address, really? Mark Allen, Dunsmere, California. My only question is, let's say that you went with the south parking lot of City Hall. South.
South.
I thought it was south.
It is the south.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a south.
So my question is this kiosk, is it the exact location where it's going to be put if that location was chosen? Has that been chosen yet? And the reason I'm asking is I'm curious. I would think that you want this thing visible. So setting it way back by the recycling bins, I don't think it is a good idea. I'm thinking if you chose that site, that you would want it, and I'm curious why maybe in front of the fire station wasn't chosen. I would think you would want it prominent. I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of, so why don't we want it prominent? Because that's more likely to get the attention of people, because a lot of people in this town are not paying attention. That's all. That's my only comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Good comment. Any additional public comments? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment.
So we did not, just to address that comment, we have not picked a specific pad to place it. I think we're just looking at general area at this point. But just leading into that, my comment is the north parking lot or around City Hall is going to be the better option. In terms of where we have experienced needles being left out in the open, that's kind of a hot spot, is in the downtown area in that section. And especially the fountain area is a big area. So I think either placing it, I do agree. I think it does need to be prominent. I think it does need to be out in the open. I'm also willing to take your expertise and suggestion, Jessica, in terms of it is a sensitive thing. And if people are depositing syringes and they do happen to have a drug abuse issue, they may not feel as comfortable being in the wide open. So I think I'm going to leave it broad for staff to work with public health, in my opinion, for the exact placement, because I agree, it does need to be visible. People do need to know it's there, but I also want to be cognizant of some people may still feel like there's a stigma to doing that. And I don't want people to feel that way about being safe and depositing them in a safe manner.
Certainly, and I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking that there is one other solution to that, and that would be that little fence right there next to the chamber. So it could be visible, but a person coming around would not be visible putting something in there. And
Yeah.
that would be a location where as you're walking down the sidewalk, you would see the thing, and then a person could walk around. So I think that might be a solution there.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's great, or some kind of signage. There's a lot of options, but like I said, I'm going to keep it broad for just staff and public health to pick the exact pad, but I think having it around City Hall is the preference, in my opinion. The other thing too is just to let you know, Jessica, the Amtrak station is going to undergo a significant remodel. And we can get you in contact with the project manager. I believe they're going to start some of the planning and engineering for that. They're going to be putting in an ADA compliant ramp, as well as hopefully renovating the building. I know we talked to them about that last time. So there could be an opportunity in the future. They wouldn't be starting construction on that for a couple of years here, but that might be a good opportunity to kind of insert the public health piece into that, to possibly put something there. That would be my suggestion. And those are really my only comments. I'm really happy that this is happening. I know this came up, maybe about a year ago or so, or 6 months ago when we first started talking about it. And I understand that there is a stigma around Sharps container deposit boxes and exchange programs. But at the end of the day, a lot of people who are abusing drugs or alcohol, they don't want other people to end up in the same circumstance as them. They don't want to hurt other people or pets. And so by appealing to, here is a safe way to do this to prevent you from hurting someone else, they're going to use that. And I think it's just a really safe and really important thing for us to embrace and show some compassion in that sense.
So, Mr. Mayor, do we want to do an action on this, or pause on it, or make a decision tonight? What's your thought?
My thought would be, sounds like I'm hearing a general consensus that closer to the heart of the town is absolutely necessary for first location. So the City Hall location generally seems like in favor. Amtrak would be amazing if we could make that work. That'd probably be the #1 spot for it.
Well, I bring the perspective of a dad that raised 2 kids in San Francisco, spent a lot of time in public parks, and the memo specifically references parks. The worst thing that can happen is to have your kids playing in a sandbox and get stuck by a needle in a sandbox. So I would favor a location proximate to Children's Park that will soon be city property, close to the bus stop, with the notion that anybody that is caught disposing of sharps in a sandbox in Children's Park is going to be in big trouble. I'd like to hear from the public works staff. I'd like to hear from the sheriff's office before we make this decision.
I agree with him.
How about a table?
Yeah.
I'm fine with the MOU. This is a beautiful thing.
Just wait
It's
on the
just
location. Yeah,
Okay.
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 So I'm fine with moving that we approve the memorandum of understanding between Siskiyou County Health and Human Services Agency, Public Health Division, and the City of Dunsmere, and table the selection of the location to the next feasible meeting.
Seconded.
And hopefully, we could get some different inputs, because we don't know.
Right. We want to get it, Miss Jessica. We were in the right spot.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, ideally, both would be great, but we understand we only get one for right now. So I think, yeah, definitely choosing the best possible location would be good.
All right, yeah, I'm fine with that. Do we want to make a motion to approve the MOU?
We did.
That's what I just did, and I tabled the location.
Did I second?
Dave seconded, okay. Yep, I didn't hear the second. All right, any discussion of the motion at hand? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Against?
Thank you, Jessica.
Motion carries unanimously. We really appreciate you being with us this evening, Jessica.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, girl.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
All right,
Thanks, Jessica.
we have item 12, future agenda items. I did want to have an item with now acting city manager Michelson going over what the game plan looks like, priorities for Dunsmere in the next 4 to 6 months.
That'd make Mr. Arth happy, I bet.
It would. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just very necessary because I know as time goes on, we're going to want to take on more and more projects we're passionate about.
Yeah.
But the reality is we're probably going to have to flat out put some on hold to get through where we.
Yeah, and we do have some newer projects too. So the local government commission transportation study, the grant got approved for that. So that's going to be moving forward. So there's certain projects that have been awarded since we've had some kind of overlap that maybe we should know about because we're obviously on the hook for money for those. So they, in my opinion, would take a little bit higher priority than something else. The only other reminder is we're going to be bringing the opt-in ordinance to the next meeting for the SB 1383. If we do not opt into it, 1, we would be fined by the state, and 2, we would not be eligible for that SB 1383 grant. So it just makes sense to opt in on that to meet those. So we'll bring that
Sounds like it's
back.
going to be an extensive piece of business or more.
It's fine. It's housekeeping because, like I said, it's a state mandated program. So we have to adopt an ordinance or we pay the state citations.
Okay.
Which I
All
don't
right,
think
we've
anyone
got
wants to
that.
do.
And then we will, of course, have the Dunsmere Live Saving the California Theater presentation and possible discussion action item. We'll work with Dunsmere Live to put that together.
I think that was Tim's concern, that it should be agendized so we could take action.
Okay, and I
just say, we have a specific, action item we want to present to.
Okay, then we'll work on getting where it needs to go for that.
I have something I'd like to add. Just before Todd left, I had talked with Todd and Blake about the idea of trying to get some COVID funding to finally bring into the council chamber something that had been worked on extensively before this council. And because of funding issues, we didn't follow up on that. And that would be the installation of a pan tilt zoom camera up there, and the ability for all of this to be controlled with a push a button and it goes to one of the council members, push another button, that can be done remotely. So all of the work has already been done. It's already been presented to the council. What I'd like to do is bring that back and see if we could get that paid for with COVID funding, with the idea that since we're living in this age, if anyone's looking at us, they can't see anything up there. And the whole idea of having this be something that could be either Zoom or videotaped, you want to be able to see the people. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I can't see anybody that was at the speaker tonight at the microphone.
Okay, and then.
Councilmember Arth had his hand.
Well, I'm the least bit anxious about the events that the city of Dunsmere is going to be involved in 2022. Railroad Days, Brewfest, Art Walk, Jazz Festival, and I know under the leadership of the mayor, we have this community grant program. So I don't know what the window is for the chamber or people that are going to be supporting these events to put in community grant requests. And we had as a holdover from last year, you know, I had hoped we would receive briefings from both the chamber and the Parks and Rec District, so that to the extent we have community grant funds available, everyone gets a fair shot and we prioritize them. But the planning for railroad days, I mean, it has to start pretty quick.
I can tell you that at the chamber meeting last night, they had the discussion of how the chamber wants to look at it. And in general, what they're looking at is the two events that they're keyed into are the Brewfest and also the Steampunk Festival. And because they thought they had a good start with the first one and that they might be able to build. It's interesting that Weed right now is going to be having a Steampunk Festival, I think in July, because of Richard Dinges, who was the one who started it here.
Yeah.
But he and everyone agrees that doing it here would also work. But the idea that we're working on right now is Brewfest, and so they're going to start forming a committee, and that's something that goes on with Rotary, so there'll be that coordination, but that's going on right now, so they're leading the discussion on that.
So
All
just
right,
to
thank you,
stay
but we're
on
not-
topic,
yeah, we're
so
not
what we'll
on
do
that
is
topic.
I
I
will
appreciate
report
it.
back. We can put it on the finance committee agenda for the next meeting to see what our schedule is for that and get back to you.
Well, the
That'd be
schedule
great.
is set by council resolution.
Yeah, so we'll just
So
bring
do
an
dates.
update at the next
April
meeting.
1st. It opens up sometime in January.
Does not have to be on a future agenda item, but I know that we still need to deal with the library roof quotes.
Oh, yeah.
It does not need to be on the next agenda, but just like, I don't want to forget about them.
No, it's on the list.
He got a reminder, didn't he, with the water coming through the ceiling?
I know. Yeah, we were waiting on James and Dave to take a look at the quotes and give a building inspector recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's probably quite enough for the next agenda.
I do have a list of things that I was potentially going to just list off, if you guys wanted to hear it all right now.
No, just email it. You
Yeah.
don't need to. It doesn't need to, I don't need it in my brain for right now. I need to focus on two things at a time.
Perfect.
Our brains are melted.
I don't even know what month it is.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes,
I'll second that motion.
motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Sorry,
Ted.
my opinion is there's a lot of future.
Sorry about the confusion.
Right. Onward. Do you have time? Do you want to sign some of these, or do you not want to?
Well, I don't care. I mean, you were
Okay.
taking it away as I want a third.
No, let's go for it. Let's go to third. Since we have time here.
These are the public things that are going on. I had to do this last night.
Fan-tilt Zoom cam.
Your opinion.
That's my opinion. Yeah,
Oh, see you Saturday.
Cottonwood, I seen it a lot of there. Yeah, when you actually talk to them.
Yeah, 5923 Shasta, 5923.
They say that's what they're-
Yep.